What's up, AJ? Out here in Moto with you guys. What's up? Podcast question. Just seen you Wheelie over the finish line. That looks sick. How do you do that?
Oh, that's a cool question. Okay, so he was there with us. What did he say? Saw me wheelie over the finish line. That was cool. How do you do that? Okay, so this was a game that my dad would have me practice. I think my dad had me practice it, unless I just made it up. But I would always practice stand-up wheelies, and then that escalated to me practicing stand-up wheelies across any obstacle that would be at the track. And then I would make it a game to where when I go to a track, I would see if I could wheelie every single obstacle, whether it was a tabletop, a double, a triple, a whoop section, whatever it was, wheeling multiple tabletops or jump sections in a row and seeing like how long I could keep that front end up, going up and down and across things. And I got really good at it over time. So the big factor is when you do stand-up wheelies, I don't have my foot on the rear brake because I like to have my feet on the balls of the feet, dropping my heels so that I can soften and absorb just like I normally would when I ride. So you've got to be extra careful because looping out is definitely a possibility. So what I control it with is a finger on the clutch. And I assume that when you see Axel Hodges doing what he does, when he does the giant jumps landing in a wheelie, when he does like the tricks and lands in a wheelie, that's difficult the way that he's doing it. And it's high risk the way that he's doing it because it's high speed, which means that when you land, you have to be in the balance point already, or you don't stand a chance of keeping it there. The benefit of doing it the way that I do it, well, and I can jump things and land in a wheelie. I don't know if I could jump like 100 feet and land in a wheelie. I'm sure I could with some practice, but I do it usually just slow enough so that if you need the correction, the throttle can kind of get you up and it's easy enough. But that finger on the clutch is what really controls that front end. So I will, like wheeling the finish line at Punta Gorda, for example, I will come off in second gear instead of third. So that way I have a little more torque. Nice and slow, come up, let the back end drop. When the back end drops, I do a little bit of a clutch flick to make sure I get the front end right up to where I want it. And then I pull the clutch in again when the front end gets to where I'm pleased. And then basically I control the front end with a little bit of throttle and a little bit of clutch. So just keep it right where I want it. That tabletop's actually a good place to practice it because it's not steep on either end. It's short. So once you learn how to do it there, you could take it to a longer tabletop and then you could practice it on different types of obstacles. Where you have to be careful is if you get into a wheelie and then like you have to drop the front end and you start gaining more and more and more speed. And if you're now dropping the front end on like the other side of an obstacle, you got to be careful of getting that big time kick over the bars. An example of that would be I played a game of bike with Spencer Wilton, pro endurocross rider, and his trick was he did like a double blip over the first log, landed in a wheelie, and then rode all the way to another log, which was a way bigger log, and then wheelied over that one. And it was horrifying looking because he started to get so much speed to keep the front end up that when he hit the next log, it just like sent him into an endo and he was able to save it. So then it was my turn. I got up and I perfectly did it, got into a much slower, more balanced, controlled wheelie. And even then, I was too afraid to try to get off the front end over that next log because I just thought for sure that it would endo me. Because I've been in situations where that's happened so many times, I'm just highly conscious of it. So just be careful of that. But yeah, it's all clutch control. That's also something that like those rollers at Punta Gorda, they're big rollers spaced far enough apart. I see a lot of people just slapping into the face of the next one because they're not using the clutch to really aim and control and modulate that throttle to loft that front end exactly to the top of the knuckle of each one. I do the same thing in supercross whoops. I use the clutch to make sure that, if I get a little more traction on this whoop, I can kill the traction for a second, make sure that front end hits exactly where I want it. Or if I hit a little low on one whoop and then I need a little to get me up high enough to hit the top of the next whoop, I will use a little clutch to get me there. Clutch. I know I haven't talked about it a whole lot and I don't talk about it much at class because for most people I'm saying take the clutch away so we can rid yourself of a lot of these variables. But to be able to control a wheelie and to do some higher level stuff, the clutch becomes crazy important. Good question, Daniel Youngblood. If you guys enjoyed this podcast clip and you want to listen to full episodes, make sure you go download them on Spotify and Apple Music. If you want to watch full episodes or be a person that sends in your own video submission, go to club.themotoacademy.com and subscribe to join the Moto Academy family today.